Here we go. By the way, we have no school Monday, which needs no reminder at this point. However, we do have vocab 11 through 20 on Tuesday. We have a test on Wednesday. So just because we don't have we're missing a day does not mean we're shifting our schedule. So please making sure that you are getting the things done in the way you need to be prepared for the week. You do not have 21 through 30 next week. However, you do have 11 through 20 on Tuesday. So please make sure you are paying attention to the shift and deadlines, but we're still testing on Wednesday. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is the most popular type of study in research. What type of study is the most popular? Good. What do we got? What is it, Ian?
Cross-section.
Cross-sequential. Sorry, my darling. Cross-sequential. Why? Who can raise their hand and tell me why cross-sequential is like the most popular? Any?
Because it's long enough to be meaningful, but it has a different nature, so it's more applicable.
Yeah, you get immediate results because people can ask you questions right away. And you can get feedback immediately instead of like for the Harvard example, for the Harvard longitudinal, you had to wait probably 15 years before anything was really useful. Can we agree? First 5 years, I think it's pretty expected. And then 10 years, 15 years, you'd really start seeing results. With a cross-sequential, you're going to start having immediately results. However, those results are going to be more in 6 years, which is why they do it. Which one is the most expensive to do? Which one is the most expensive to do? Good. What is it? Kaylee. I don't know what happened there. Longitudinal. Why? Who can raise your hand and tell me why it's the most expensive one? Why? Come on, people. Emily.
Because it lasts a long time.
There you go. It takes a very long time to do in order to get those types of results. You don't get really a ton of immediate feedback, okay? So you really have to invest in the long term. On your whiteboard, what is the cheapest? What is it, Connor?
Cross-sectional.
Cross-sectional. Why is it the cheapest? Who can raise their hand and explain to me why it's the cheapest? Alyssa. It can be done in a day. You're looking at different age groups. You're asking them the same questions, all the same questions to every age group, and then you can compare the results between the 5 to 10-year-olds, the 10 to 15-year-olds, and going on through there, and you can make those comparisons. All right. Any questions about how we do research when we look at development? It's either of those 3 different ways. Obviously, longitudinal is the most, gives us the most information, provides the most background knowledge. However, it is not commonly done because it is very expensive. All right. So let's talk nature and nurture. Did we get here yesterday? Perfect. So nature, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a whiteboard here in a second. I just want to remind you what nature is. Nature is the influence of our inherited characteristics on our personality, physical growth, intellectual growth, and social interactions. Okay? So nature is what your parents give you. On your whiteboard, I want you to split it in half. Right? Mom, Dad on the top. Okay? I want you to tell me what you got from your mom, what you got from your dad. I want one part of your personality. I want one thing about your personality, one thing from your physical, one thing intellectually, one thing socially. So, personality-wise, one thing I got from my mom is we're very upfront. I'm a little curt, if you will. When you upset me, I let you know. That's part of my personality. I get it from my mother. So on your mother's side, you would write what you got. So physical. My dad and I are short. My mom is like 5'11". Your girl's 5'5". If you stand next, I know I look like a tall, scary t-shirt, but when you stand next to me, you're probably taller. Just don't tell myself for a second you're doing it. Okay? Intellectually, me and my mom are very, very similar. How we study is we have to kind of teach it to ourselves, and by teaching it to other people, we learn it better. That's how my mom studies. That's how my mom did it as well, growing up and going through all of her programs and social interactions. I'm just like my dad. Like, if I don't have like one of my real friends there, I'm not going. Like, the idea of like saying hi to people I don't care about is just absolutely not going to happen. My dad doesn't really have that many friends because he just doesn't like people. Same here. I have like 3 friends. But those 3 friends, by the way, are ride or die. If I say, I need you to cut this person, guess who's going to be there within the next hour to cut you? My besties. Okay? So, you're giving me a personality trait from your mom or your dad. Doesn't matter. Give me a physical component from your mom or your dad. Give me an intellectual component from your mom or dad. Give me a social. I'm sorry. You can make this shit up if you want to. I'm so sorry about that. Please know that I do love you very much. And your parents are pretty damn amazing. I've met your mom before. Not the one you haven't met. Have you met?
No, but I also have 2 moms.
I've met. She's blonde. They're both blonde. Okay, that's unfair. That's unfair. That's unfair. I'm pretty sure in my head it's short. I know, like, there's something in
Does she
the
wear glasses or not?
I think I saw your mom at Cine Bistro. So I don't know if she goes out with like glasses on. I don't know. How much can you pay me in a corner and I'm not going to get out of this corner? I love Cine Bistro. You know the best part? People can't go.
Man, yes we can.
Do you think I go see a movie before 4 if I know you can't be in there?
Wait, she was about Esther Thomas, right? Yeah.
No, it's not. I should not sing surprise. Maybe. I don't know. It was like 2 years ago. Alright! What I'd like you to do is turn and tell them what you got from your mama, what you got from your papa. Go! Turn it up.
Very good. I'm a big procrastinator, but I didn't get that from them. That's me, baby. I didn't get that from them, man. They lawyers. I just like procrastinators.
Three, 2, 1. Who has a good personality they can tell us that they got from their parents? Who's got one? They got one. Like, who has like an interesting thing that they got from their parents, like personality-wise? No one. What do you got, Kate?
Like my dad's sarcastic and I'm sarcastic.
There you go. How many of you got? How many of you would say most of your personalities come from your dad? I'm a little tricky on that one. I'm also a lot of sass. I like my dad.
Really, I have nothing. I like my dad better.
Who gets their personality more from their mom? Okay. We're literally split, which is not good for you. Alright. Physical. If you had to say, Ian, who do you look more like?
My dad.
Your dad? Alright, well that's good. You know what you can do. That's nice. Looks like your dad. There's some girls who look more like their dad. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. What do you... Hayden, who would you say you look more like?
My mom is a blonde hair.
Okay, alright. Are you the only one in your family with blonde?
My sister too.
Oh, okay. So you got a whole family of blondes. Alright. What do we got for intellectual? Maggie, what'd you come up with for intellectual?
Me and my mom are both bad at math.
There we go, perfect. Anyone else? What is another intellectual thing? Kelly?
My mom majored in psychology, and I'm really interested in psychology.
There you go. What are you going to do with them?
Oh, she's a recruiter. She's the only
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Psychology is very interesting, and hopefully you would agree. But what the hell are you going to do with it? Unless you become a PhD of it. You can't make any money on it. Sorry, not to crush your dreams. If you find this interesting, I'm so glad. It will help you in your quality of life, whatever you decide. But when people are like, oh my god, I'm going to become a major in psychology, what are you going to do with it?
That is so funny.
Ah!
My mom did.
My mom's
My mom's literally
It's
said.
not really a success story, Caroline. If you want a minor in it, that's great.
Wait, can you do art therapy too?
How many art therapy jobs do you think there are, Caroline?
No.
Yeah. So, just keep in mind, whatever you choose to do with your life, make sure you can make some money on it, especially if you need it, like your girl. All right, social interactions. Emily, who are you more like?
I think I'm more like my dad.
Why?
It's like he's willing to talk to people. Like I'm saying, like my mom's more quiet and my dad's
Are you calling yourself outgoing?
like
Who is this person? This other Emily? I don't know. I've known Emily for 2 years. She only talks to me when I force her to. And I really like Emily, so I force her to talk to me a lot. I'm not her friend. That's what we just learned. Is she chatty?
What?
Is she chatty?
No, I was agreeing with like you can like change like how you.
No, I know. I know, I get that, but like, I'd like to see that Emily. I mean, I like the Emily I get, but I force her to speak to me. If I didn't force her, she wouldn't speak to me. What do we got? What is your social interactions like, Jaden? Who you more like? Your dad? Why? You are definitely a go with the flow person. That makes a lot of sense. You should see like just dealing with these two, going back and forth at the trading grading. Jaden is just every single day over it. Tell me I'm wrong. Am I wrong? Thank you. I see more than you think I see. All right, what else you got, Alexis?
I get my
I'm the one that got this shit actually the system with the
What about your
other
personality?
ones doing those.
I'm very social and like very crazy like my mother. We like to party a lot. We like to make friends with a lot of people.
Okay. That makes sense. You're very personable.
Approachable. I guess.
Approachable. All right, here we go. Nurture, which is something you need to write down on your study guide. Nurture is the influence of the environment on personality. Okay, so it is the influence of the environment on personality, physical growth, intellectual growth, and social interactions. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is not strictly regarded to by your parents. Your environment, of course, your first environment is the what? Womb. Okay? However, the next immediate environment is going to be your household, right? That makes sense. When you're a little kid, your parents have the most influence over your household, the experiences you're exposed to. But then at this age, you're being more influenced by your peers than you are by your parents. Can we agree? So your parents are supposed to train you to be able to make good decisions, so you make good decisions of who your friends are and who you shouldn't be friends with. Because right now, at this stage of your life, your friends are the most influential, and they're going to be for a while. For the next 10 years, you're going to be the most influenced by your peers. Then you're going to find you're the person you decide you want to spend the rest of your life with, your partner, your soulmate, whatever crap you want to call them. That person is then going to have a huge impact on who you are as a person. That's your environment, is that person. And then if you decide to have children, then those random strangers you've invited into your home, your kids will then shape your next environment. Does that make sense? Okay? And then the funny thing is you end your life in the environment your kids select for you. So hopefully you trained your kids to like you. So at the end of your life, when you run out of money, they'll pay for a nice home and not like beat the elders home. That would suck, right? Or they just kind of like, goodbye. Okay, so when we're talking about nurture, it is not just your parents. Okay? So you can take in all different people into account. Your grandparents, if you spend a lot of time with them, all of those different types of components. If you have a really close family friend, they also play an impact on your environment. Also the culture. Being an American is going to be the default setting I'm going to here because we can all kind of relate to that. Our culture has an impact on us as well as our environment. Like, for instance, being an American woman, I have way more independence than other people do in other countries. Does that make sense? That's part of my identity. That's part of my nurture. My environment tells me that I can do that. So, on your whiteboard, you do not need to draw a line down the middle because it's not strictly between two people. I want you to give me an example of a personality trait you have now and where'd you get it from. Like, for instance, I will tell you I am very protective of my friendships. I'm very protective. If I consider you a friend, I know a lot of people, I don't have many friends. There's a big distinguishing factor between me knowing you and saying like, hey, how are you? Like, what are you doing this weekend? And a friend. There's a big difference to me. I don't call regular people friends. They're acquaintances. I like them. They're very kind. But we're not friends. Okay? I'm very protective of my friends because I've been hurt by a girl named Danielle. Oh, I'll cut her today. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I was hurt by a girl named Danielle because she betrayed my complete trust in friendship. And because of that, I am now super protective, and I try to be the best friend I can to the people I genuinely care about. If I don't care about you, I don't give a shit. If I care about you, I will do whatever it takes to make things right. Does that make sense? So, that would be an example of my personality. My physical growth, I will tell you, there's a girl named Colleen Hill. It's not her real name. It's her real name, but she doesn't go by that name anymore. And that girl, we used to be so damn competitive. You may not believe it, but I used to be athletic. Shocking. And it was because I wanted to beat Colleen Hill. And Colleen pushed me so damn hard when I was in middle school, high school, even for a while beyond that, because I wanted just to compete with her. So Colleen Hill made me a better athlete. Does that make sense? Okay. So intellectually, there was a girl named, I can't remember her last name, I'm going to totally tell you the truth. Her name is Kate. She was in my freshman course at Flagler College, and she made a comment to me. She's like, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right, or you're wasting everyone's time. That's what she said to me on my first project in college, and I was like, shit, you're right. Right? I mean, like, how are you, like, tell me how that's wrong. And so since then, I have really tried to be, when I'm doing something, if I'm going to do it right. That was a huge moment for me. Don't know where she is in the world now. However, I live by that mantra today, and that's how important people come into your life are. You have no idea why they're there, but I met this girl named Katie, and she called me on my shit. And this is why I'm a crazy person. Kate. And then social interactions. I just don't like people. I'm going to say McCrae Bennett. McCrae Bennett is just like me. We don't like many people. And we don't like socializing, and we don't like talking to people we don't have to. So we kind of create a little bubble, and we're happier together than we are with other people. So if it wasn't for McCrae, maybe I would never be a social butterfly. But because of him, I can like curl up in a ball and hide from the world because he's like next to me doing it. So come up with something about your personality that you got from exposure to something else. Give me something about your physical growth that came from something else. Your intellectual growth that came from someone else. Put it in the corner, please.
So, are we saying?
Yeah. I mean, you can make up the name. We're not going to know.
Wait,
I'd like you to kind of think about it. A specific experience?
Like,
You could say
like
specific
there's a
one.
school you went to.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, my school.
I just want you, the way you are is because of one of these two things. Everything about who you are as a person is down to these two things. No ifs, ands, or buts. Absolutely. If you love with your whole heart, I'm talking friends, I'm talking the person you have a crush with, in love with, whatever your status is, I don't give a crap. It's because either your parents live that way and they taught you to live that way, or it's because you find this person to be the perfect match to who you are at this moment, and you just decide to just sell it, like give it all up, like as in I love you and I'm going to commit. Does that make sense? It's either or. Everything about you is either or. The way you dress is either or. Mostly nurture, let's be honest, because if you're looking at your parents, that generation's over. I know I'm hip and fashionable. I'll be. But, alright, turn to someone you haven't spoken to yet today and tell them an exchange. Go. Hey, talk to Emily. Hey, Phil. Hey, talk to Emily.
So, friends, Wolf Corner is my friend. Sherm switched up hella, so now I'm more loyal to my friends. And then intellectual, Will used to always chew me because I got backwards and like rip me. So now I went hard this year and got all A's, and I chewed him so hard. Raw.
What did you get? Not all A's?
Like C's, D's,
I get that. I get that. Alright, what do you got for physical? What do you got for intellectual? Alright. And then social interactions? What? Oh God, that sounds dramatic. That's 3, 2. So when we're talking about nature and nurture, ladies and gentlemen, it really does cover every aspect of your life. Now, are things more complex than it's simply genetic or one experience? Of course. However, everything, if you break it down to its simplest form, comes down to these two things. Okay, and it is incredibly profound, and it's incredibly influential, and it is something that you should think about in the far, 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 far future when you decide to have children, is what type of genes you're going to pass down. Are they good ones? Because everyone in this room has some terrible genes. Can we agree? Okay, some terrible habits. Yes? You know, like this terrible skin. Like that poor kid. I have terrible skin. Terrible skin. Girl, you have no idea how much work goes into this. And it's shocking, but it's a lot. It is a lot of work that goes into this. More than it should to get this output. Like everyone has good things and bad things in their genetic code. Let's be honest, correct? There's some genetic traits that your parents have taught you, right? Your genes are wonderful. Is that right?
I'm saying you should be more positive. Like you're like everyone's gonna like pass those bad genes.
Well, yeah, but there's also good things, of course.
Yeah. Well, you know,
It's both. Yes, if you let me finish.
That's so sad. My goodness. You gotta think positively.
Nah, that's not my style. Here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's also and I think kind of more important, honestly, if I had to say which one I think is more powerful, I think nurture is more powerful. I think the environment you put yourself in is more important. I think if you surround yourself by good people, you're going to become a better person. If you surround yourself by bad people, holy moly, you're going to cycle downward very quickly. And so, when you're thinking about in the far, far future about having kids, the first thing you should think of is this an environment that is ready to welcome a kid? Are you stable enough? Are you in a healthy enough relationship that that's the thing like you want to... Hi, I'm about to start sex ed here in 2 seconds, so it makes sense. Okay? So, when you're talking about having a kid, you need to look at the environment that you're in. Is it stable? Is it safe? Is this the type of relationship you'd want your future kid to have? If you're in a relationship that is not what you would want your future daughter, future son to be a part of, should you probably invite a kid into it? No, because you know how your version of what love is based on your parents' love. Now, if your parents have only been married once, and you have saw that relationship, okay? and then they got divorced, and then you saw maybe they got remarried to someone else. So now you have two versions of love. That kind of compiles things. So you know what version it didn't work, and now you've seen what version does work, hopefully. And then so you can see kind of pros and cons. If you've only been in a house, like a house that got divorced, then you only see the downside of love. Can we agree? So you become incredibly bitter and kind of resentful, and love sucks, and just burn it down. And it's a game. It's a way for capitalists to make money. Whatever you want to believe, okay? If you've been in a house that your parents have been happily married for 43 years, that's my house.
That's so cute.
Must be
Yeah,
nice.
why do you like?
You don't like, because let me tell you, and I don't know if anyone here's parents are still together. I don't know. It's not my business to know. With what I'm saying though is, I will tell you, by being in a house that they've been together for 44 years, I knew getting into marriage how hard marriage is. Like, there was no illusions. Like, my mom refused to speak to my dad for 4 months straight. They lived in the same house. They slept in the same room. And she refused for 4 months to speak to him. So, I understand how hard marriage is, and that there are definitely peaks. And holy moly, there are some damn valleys. And Anne is petty. See ya.
Miss Bennett,
Yes, darling.
I'll be back in a couple minutes.
Sounds good. I'll be here. I'm just trying to get the hell out, though, to be honest. Bye, sweetie.
Sorry.
Yes, Manette.